Where's Bobby? Huh? Missing Bobby?
Bobby, Bobby,
No.
Shay.
No idea. He can't be.
Bobby, Bobby, Shay.
Where's Bobby? Comes to back. Bobby. Rufito. Have you seen your brother? Bobby.
Bobby, Bobby,
Bobby.
Shay.
Bobby.
Bobby,
Bobby.
Bobby, Shay.
If there were no plants on Earth, there would be no life as we know it, because there would be no oxygen and there would be no food. So, what is this all-important life form that we call plant? In order to understand this all-important life form, we must first take a closer look at each of its parts. It is important that our plants, through their roots, have a strong foothold in the soil. And for these, they develop two major types of roots. First, the taproot, which is the main root and does most of the anchor work. And second, the secondary roots. But it is the second function of the roots that should be of special interest to us gardeners. They are the mouth of our plants. And for these, our roots develop the root hairs or radicles, which are very fine and can hardly be seen by the naked eye. These radicals do the actual job of absorbing moisture and food from the soil. How do they do that? Our soil is built up of soil particles. These soil particles are wrapped in thin films of water in which minerals are dissolved. And that is where the radicals, which come in close contact with those soil particles, absorb the dissolved minerals. Plant radicals are thus very important. So, how do we care for them? First, we nurse our plants well so that they develop good roots. The more radicals they are equipped with, the more nutrients our plants can absorb. But good root development can only happen when our plants grow on good soil. We therefore prepare our soil well before planting. Root hairs need oxygen to breathe and develop. But roots could also lose a good number of their root hairs while trying to push themselves through soil if that soil is hard and compact. We also avoid overwatering our soil. Overwatering may result in root rot. Second, we handle our seedlings very carefully when we transplant them. In transplanting, we inevitably sever a good number of radicals. That is why new transplants look withered after being transplanted. They go through a period of growth arrest until new radicals grow that restore the plant's ability to absorb water and nutrients. Now we can avoid these by using multi-celled seedling trays. Individual seedlings are assigned their own separate compartments or cell. When transplanting, we take them from their cell together with the soil in which they grow without disturbing the neighboring seedlings. While the root system of most plants is hidden below the soil, the shoot system is a part of the plant we are most familiar with. It is composed of the stalk, the leaves, the flowers, and the fruits. The stalk is the backbone of the plant. It supports the leaves, the flowers, and the fruits. Botanically, it remains a stalk if it has ever carried leaves, even though it may have become a tree trunk or a branch. As we already know, the stalk contains, so to say, the veins through which plant life flows, because it is through the stalk that nutrients and moisture are transported from the roots to the leaves. And it is also through the stalk that sugars and starch are transported from the leaves back to the roots, flowers, and fruits. A young stalk in the making is called a bud. Buds form at the end of the stalk and in the axils of the leaves. The end bud, which is found at the top end of the plant, is called the growing point. We already know that without plants we would not have much oxygen around, and neither would we have food. But why is that so? Plants are virtually the only organisms on Mother Earth that can transform the sun's energy into food energy, called glucose, and release oxygen while doing so. We call this process photosynthesis. Through photosynthesis, our plants combine carbon dioxide and water to form simple glucose by releasing oxygen in doing so. Not only plants need glucose to survive, also humans and animals depend on it as energy source. But humans and animals are unable to produce it. Photosynthesis can only take place in the green parts of plants. Practically all life forms thus ultimately depend on the glucose produced by plants. Lizards eat no plants, but they feed on slugs that live from the leaves of our crops, while we may eat veggies and fruits, but also meat of cows that would not be there if it were not for the plants that they feed on. By the way, did you know that when the leaves of a plant turn yellow, the plant is in crisis and produces no longer food? Yet, a plant can survive even if we take out one-third of its leaves, which may be necessary in case of, let's say, a fungus attack. Did you know that flowers are actually stalks with special modified leaves? Flowers are the reproductive organs of our plants. They produce the seeds for the next generation. And for these, they have two types of reproductive parts. The male part, called stamen, and the female part called pistil. When united, these two parts form the seed. The stamen consists of a stalk filament and an anther that produces pollen. Pollen are the male fertilizing agents. The pistil consists of the ovary, which has a stigma that catches the pollen, a style that forms the outer cover of the pollen tube, and the pollen tube itself that carries the pollen inside the ovary or egg case. When pollen grains coming from the anther have been deposited on the pistil, either by wind or by insects, the flower becomes fertilized and the ovule develops into a fruit that contains one or more seeds. This process we call pollination. Some plants multiply through self-pollination and produce seeds without the need of other plants. Cross-pollinators, on the other hand, need pollen from the flower of another plant of the same species. While a third group of plants are mixed pollinators, whereby a single plant may either self-pollinate or cross-pollinate.